Yes, ladies and gentlemen, episode 54 Pokemon Horizons titled Eternal Blessings just dropped, and in this episode, Friede gets into some deep trouble as an item related to Liko and Terapagos goes missing and he is seen as a culprit. How will he get out of this situation? Let's talk about it. This episode begins with Liko, Roy, and Dot on their way to Mesagosa. However, Dot is exhausted from walking. As they're on their way though, Anne arrives. She's glad to see everyone, and we learn that her ultimate goal is to win the Pokemon League. For now, however, it seems like she will go with our heroes back to Naranja Academy. Meanwhile, Friede's been trying to solve the mystery of Terapagos by reading Lucius's personal notes and Liko's grandmother's adventure logs. We learn that the Brave Olivine is halfway finished being fixed. Friede, while reading through the journal, thinks that he may have stumbled into something, so he heads out. He calls Liko and Roy to ask them if they remember seeing a pink haze when they saw the memories of Lapras or Galarian Moltres. The two say they do, and this is the confirmation that Friede needs. Friede arrives in front of the building we learned is called the Exceed. Once he gets in, he apologizes to the director inside, Director Crave, for leaving so abruptly as he was hired there. The director says that ever since he read his thesis, he knew that Friede wasn't the type to just stay in a lab. Friede then asks him about the research they did for something called the Eternal Blessings. The director says he doesn't really know much about it since it was handled by an external team. However, he gives Friede access to his card from the past and tells him to see if that will help by allowing him to go to the lab. There he comes across one of his old co-workers with a Joltik. He asks him to help him look up the Eternal Blessings research, and we see young Friede in the lab, and we also see this Eternal Blessings thing is a small crystal. Friede wants to know everything about it. However, the research for it is seemingly restricted. Bizarre. So, since he has his badge, Friede decides to go down to the vault and check it out for himself where it's stored. However, someone is listening on this conversation, and things are getting more fishy as the lights in the vault when Friede gets down there are closed, and even though the project has been closed for a long time, there's security Pokemon guarding the area. Friede fights his way through, and Cap even breaks the camera that they're in, causing the alarm to go off. Keep that in mind. I have a feeling that's going to come back in the future. Inside the vault, they look around and find an empty case. Turns out the Eternal Blessings crystal is called the Liquarium. When they leave the vault, outside there's security guards waiting. Once again, Friede has to fight his way through and flies off with Charizard. Something isn't right. There's too much security detail for a project that was supposedly finished a long time ago. Turns out the person from before who was listening in on the conversation between Friede and his old co-worker, and now the person with the Liquarium, is Spinel. He apparently also works at this company. When Friede gets outside and he's trying to figure out who got to it before him, we see Spinel's Behem also watching him. It is weird to watch one of our potential heroes doing a breaking and entering. You usually never see that, and then running away from the police/security guard. That's something you don't expect. It'll probably not be as big of a thing as it would have in real life, but it's still interesting to see nonetheless. As the end of the day arrives, Anne thanks Liko for the day and talks about how she was nervous when she first came to Paldea. However, having Duat and Sandshrew allowed her to feel like they could take her anywhere, and that's a different perspective that Liko hadn't thought about before. She always thought that maybe she was trying to take Terapagos to Laqua, but maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the Pokemon is taking her somewhere. That's when they arrive in front of Naranja Academy. The end of this episode is where we get some major revelations. Amethio arrives at the Explorer's boss, Gibeon's place. Gibeon tells Amethio that he wants to hear Amethio's resolve. They're trying to get more Liquarium and the true key to their plans, Terapagos. Once Terapagos awakens, by which I assume they mean once it becomes its terrestrial form, they'll snatch it, and that's when the bombshell is dropped, that Gibeon is Amethio's grandfather. What's more is that we learn that Amethio has a very strained relationship, because Amethio says he's nothing like his father and he'll get stronger to serve his grandfather. What in the world could be going on here? There's so much mystery afoot here. Amethio then gets a call from Anya and Zerk where they see that Spinel is speeding off in a car. Amethio tells them not to pursue him any further as his suspicion that Spinel is plotting something else on his own is confirmed. And the episode ends with Amethio saying that while he failed to capture the shiny Rayquaza, he won't fail his next plan. This episode's so different from all other episodes we've gotten in such a long time. There's a lot of different elements being introduced here. The Exceed Company, the study of this crystal Liquarium, how it's related to Terapagos and Laqua, the fact that the explorers have infiltrated so many aspects of Paldea, including school and now this company, as Spinel also works there, the introduction of the fact that the main boss of the Explorer is Amethio's grandfather, and that Amethio has a strained relationship with his father, and Spinel's own plans away from the explorers. I don't think any other episode of Pokemon has ever introduced this many mysterious aspects of the story that we really won't know until it happens. I don't really have much to say about everything that was introduced, because while I am curious to see where it will go, unlike in the past where you could kind of tell where the story was headed based on the games that the anime was based off of, this is a completely original story. I'm not sure how this is gonna resolve or where this is headed at all. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But what about you guys? Give me your theories and ideas on anything that was introduced in this episode and where you think it might be going. Other than that, be sure to like, share, subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at PdGaming, and that's it. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.